ऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः हरिः ओम्। अन्तरायतिमिरोपशान्तये शान्तपावनमचिन्त्य वैभवम् तन्नरं वपुषि कुञ्जरं मुखे मन्महे किमपि तुन्दिलं महः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। यस्यान्तन्नादिमध्यं न हि करचरणं नामगोत्रं न सूत्रं नो जातिर्नैव वर्णा न भवति पुरुषो न नपुंसं न च स्त्रीं नाकारं नो विकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान्तेव सदृशिगणैरावृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मारामम् उदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय यतये शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादिनगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। अपारसच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकमहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। करुणापूर्णसुधाब्धे कबलितघनविश्वरूप किरणावल्या अरुणाचलपरमात्मन् अरुणो भवचित्तकञ्जसुविकासाय त्वयि अरुणाचल सर्वं भूत्वा स्थित्वा प्रलीनमेतच्चित्रं हृद्यहमित्यात्मतया नृत्यसि भोः ते वदन्ति हृदयं नाम अहमिति कुत आयातीत्यन्विष्यान्तः प्रविष्टयात्यमलधियाम् अवगम्य स्वं रूपं शाम्यत्यरुणाचलत्वयि नदीवाब्धौ त्यक्त्वा विषयं बाह्यं रुद्धप्राणेन रुद्धमनसान्तस्त्वां ध्यायन् पश्यति योगी दीधितिम् अरुणाचलत्वयि महीयं ते त्वय्यर्पितमनसा त्वां पश्यन् सर्वं तवाकृतितया सततं भजते अनन्यप्रीत्या स जयत्यरुणाचलत्वयि सुखे मग्नः। हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रं ह्यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जता वां पवनचलनरोधादात्मनिष्ठो भवत्वं। शोणप्रभं सोमकलावतंसं पाणिस्फुरत्पञ्चश्रेक्षुचापं प्राणप्रियं नौमि पिनाकपाणेः कोणत्रयस्थं कुलदैवतं नः। चूडोत्तंसितचन्द्रचारुकलिका चञ्जत्शिखाभास्वरो लीलादग्धविलोलकामशलभश्रेयो दशाग्रे स्फुरन् अन्तःस्फूर्जदपारमोहतिमिरप्राग्भारमुच्चाटयन् चेतः सद्मनियोगिनां विजयते ज्ञानप्रदीपो हरः शारदा शारदाम्भोजवदनावदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं सन्निधिं क्रियात् राकाचन्द्रसमानकान्तिवदनां नाकाधिराजस्तुता मूकानामपि कुर्वती सुरधुनीनिकाशवाग्वैभवम् श्रीकाञ्चीनगरी विहाररसिकां शोकापहन्त्री सतां एका पुण्यपरम्परा पशुपतेः आकारिणी राजते योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यांश हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् अरुणाचलधरकेत्र अक्षरमणमालै शात्र करुणाकरगणपतिये करमरुळिकाप्पाये अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचला अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचला அருணாச்சலமென அகமே நினைப்பவர் அகத்தை வேறறுப்பாய் அருணாச்சலா அழகு சுந்தரம் போலகமும் நீயும் முற்ற பின்னமாயிருப்போம் அருணாச்சலா அகம் புகுந்தீர்த்துன் அககுகை சிறையாய் அமர்வித்ததென் கொள் அருணாச்சலா ஆறுக்காவனை ஆண்டனை அகற்றிடல் அகிலம் பழித்திடும் அருணாச்சலா இப்பழி தப்புனை ஏன் நினைப்பித்தாய் இனி யார் விடுவார் அருணாச்சலா இன்றிடும் அன்னையிற் பெரிதருள் புரிவோய் இதுவோ உனதருள் அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. For last many years, I have been contemplating on Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's Arunachala Aksharamanamalai, and we have reached the 57th verse. Bhagavan's Aksharamanamalai is purely his experience of Arunachala, and which is his own self, and which is also the self of all. Especially we are sitting right in the valley of Arunachala. Just you have to just peep this side, you can see Arunachala. And if you go within, Arunachala is there in your very heart, as Bhagavan says, as the I. It is the only changeless principle in our being. It is the pure awareness. In Upadesha Saram, Bhagavan calls it as Chit. In the Vedantic language is Chit, pure Chittva Darshanam, Tattva Darshanam. And that Arunachala you can never miss. Wherever you go, you have your being in an Arunachala. in Arunachala Pancharatnam, the 5 verses which Bhagavan has written. The first verse, Bhagavan says, Arunachala, you are the ocean of compassion, Karuna Purna Sudhabdi. And in the second verse, Bhagavan says, everything arises in you, remains in you, and merges in you. Jayate asti liyate. Arises, remains, and merges in Brahman, in the self. The entire universe arises, remains, and merges in that source, and that source is Brahman. This is the Upanishadic statement. Atova imani bhutani jayante ena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. Tad Brahma. And that same truth is in us as our very self, as Aham, as the I. In that awareness, every thought arises, every thought functions, and every thought merges back. In this 57th verse, it's a very profound verse. And Bhagavan says, Arunachala, you are the infinite truth, Vinnuru, the Chidakasha. To realize you, all the thoughts must subside, the mind must subside. When will I reach that state? Nunnuru Unayam, Vinnuru Nannida, Yennalai Irum Endru Arunachala. When will the unceasing waves of thoughts pounding my heart like unending waves of the ocean subside? By your grace, remove this obstacle to my seeking within and enjoying the bliss of union with you, who shines as the most subtle form of space of consciousness. Is the translation. Nunnuru means the subtlemost thing, the subtlest. And that is the Vinnuru, the Akasha, the space, Chidakasha. It is our very nature, our self. Yennalai Irum Endru Arunachala. In talks with Ramana Maharshi, many places Bhagavan simply says, the truth is to be free of thoughts. As the Patanjali Yoga Sutra says, Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. When devotees used to ask Bhagavan, what is yoga? Bhagavan used to say, it is there in the very second verse of Yoga Sutra. Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. The cessation of thoughts. But simply cessation of thoughts is not yoga, because the next verse, next sutra, it reveals what is yoga. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Then the seer abides in his real nature. And the seer abides in his real nature. So our real nature is what? It is Vinnuru says. It's Chidakasha, pure consciousness. Ananda or Shanti, we can say peace. Many places Bhagavan repeats, peace is your real name. Peace is your real nature. Peace is another name for the self. Shantoyam Atma. Many of you are very fond of listening to Vedas. You can find whenever they conclude the Vedic chanting, they will come out with a mantra which ends with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That Shanti, when the chattering of the brain also comes to quietude, when the ego subsides in the heart, and there is quietude, stillness within, as Shankaracharya puts it, Nishala Tattvam. The purpose of Satsang is only that. We sit for 1 hour or 1.5 hours, just listening. It is not a class. It is just to first purpose is to quieten the mind, and the lasting fruition, the fruit of Satsanga, is when you recognize your center. As Bhagavan says, center itself is the central teaching. Bindu. This Bindu. Bindu means the point, the center. Bhagavan says Arunachala is the center of the universe. And where is that center? It is everywhere. The point is everywhere. And it is where you are now. It is your very being. The only experience about which we are sure, I am seeing you all. It is just illusory. I cannot feel you, I cannot experience you. Even the body is like that. The only thing about which I am sure is my own existence as I am. Hridi ahamiti nrityasi. Bhagavan says, Arunachala, you are not outside, you are dancing within me. Dancing means here fully expressing. Fully expressing. The only thing which is fully felt. Even the body you are not fully feeling. You are feeling a little bit here, there. Some sensation is there. But this I, this aham, in Sanskrit when we say aham, it includes all the alphabets. It starts with a and ends with ha, and if you close your mouth, aham. It includes all the alphabets. And that actually what you feel within you as the I is not making any sound as aham. Neither Sanskrit sound nor English sound. No I. In Tamil, I means Shiva. Have you heard? In English, when you say I, if you put it in Tamil, if you go and see the Tamil dictionary, I means Shiva. Ayya. From it comes Ayya. You'll find in Tirtha many people calling ritually Ayya. This I means Shiva. In Sanskrit also I means Shiva. Ayyai Namaha. It means Ishvara. And so the only God you are sure about is this feeling of existence within you. The Sat is the aham. And Bhagavan says it is nunnuru, means the subtlemost thing. When you try to meditate, when you try to withdraw the mind, probe within, hold it in that center, then you find that it is so subtle. Anoho aniyan. The Upanishad says, Anoho aniyan mahataha mahiyam. It is subtler than the subtlest and vaster than the vast, infinite. Anoho aniyan, the subtlemost experience. When you try to go within, that antarmukha is the word which Bhagavan uses, The Guru Kripa, the grace of Master, grace of Arunachala is when the mind becomes interned and without effort you are able to feel that mantra within you. The mantra which is not made of any words, the mantra which is not made of any words, it is pure throb energy, that Chit Shakti, we call it Chit Shakti. That is what many felt in Bhagavan's presence. Later on they translated it as I. There is no I. Don't expect when you meditate for one eye to go and the two eyes to arise. When you study, read the books, you will find two eyes. You search the eye merges in the heart and I arises. No I will arise. It is something which is eternally there, it is Purna. It is the Akhanda Samvit. We call it Akhanda. Akhanda means that which is interrupted. Akhanda means uninterrupted, that infinite, that whole, that Purna. It is your very being. It is eternally free. You are not attaining any new freedom. That is why Vedanta is so sure that you can attain it, because it is already attained. Somebody asked Bhagavan, is it the question of pretension? Bhagavan said it is pure pretension. You are Purna. But if you superimpose the body, the mind, the individuality, and you want to attain it, achieve it, then it is impossible. Because the person who wants to attain, whatever you may attain, can you hold it at least in the deep sleep state? Even some mental vision, you sleep, gone. In Tamil, one Siddha saw two people fighting. One is a devotee of Shiva, another is a devotee of Vishnu. And they were having a quarrel, conflict. And this Siddha sang a song in where he says, Vainavanum Shaivanum Korata Vittu Tungai. When the Vaishnava and Shaiva both are snoring and sleeping, neither your Shiva exists nor your Vishnu exists. Nor you exist. The body does not exist, the world does not exist. What exists there is the eternal principle. It is the eternal, it is the truth, it is the only thing which will remain. Whatever you attain will go, whatever you achieve will go, or your meditation, everything will go. That Sattva Guna will come and go, Rajo Guna will come and go, Tamo Guna will come and go. Sometimes sadhakas, they make a big issue of all these mental things. Sometimes you feel dull. That will come, it is Tamo Guna. That is also a form of Divine Mother. So usually there is a shloka where we say, we worship that Divine Mother who manifests as dullness, but let her come in night. Not when I am sitting in Satsang. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Nidra Rupena Samstita Namastasye, 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 Namo Namah. 3 times I am prostrating to her, let her come in night. So that is her nature. And there is another form where she is so energetic, Rajoguna. Let her come when I want to work. And that sattva, pure sattva, the meditativeness, let it manifest when I sit for meditation. But when I sit for meditation, energy, that too much Rajoguna comes, or Tamoguna comes. This is nature, nothing can be done. Know that nothing touches the self. You have to recognize that adhisthana, that substratum in which everything arises, remains and merges back. And to find that substratum, that adhara, that adhisthana. And Bhagavan says that adhisthana is Arunachala. So you can carry Arunachala wherever you are going. Because Arunachala is carrying everything. You have to just recognize that Arunachala. First we will say this is Arunachala. Bhagavan also said this is the sacred Arunachala. But when you find it is overcrowded, you find Arunachala where there is no crowd. It is ever solitude within. You can never have any Paurnami crowd there. In one of his works, Shankaracharya says, a sadhaka needs ekanta. Ekanta means solitude. And that solitude must be like this, that there should not be anyone there. Neither before, nor now, nor in future. Find such a ekanta. And that is Adau Madhyecha Antecha Jano Yasmin Na Vidyate. Neither in the beginning there are inhabitation there, nor now, nor in future anyone will come there. And that ekanta is within you. And every day the inner being is demonstrating that state to you in deep sleep, in Sushupti. It tells you not even you are permitted inside. Not even your individual sense, this I, this ego is permitted there. It is pure, incorruptible, whole. Sushuptyaika siddhastadego vasishta shiva kevaloham. Shankaracharya says that which is available even in deep sleep, that is Shiva. And that Shiva is me. And that Shiva I can never miss. That is my real nature. So it is the subtlemost thing, Nunnuru. To realize you, that subtlemost nature of you, O Arunachala, the moment I touch that, it is Vinnuru, it is the Chidakasha. It is the boundless space of pure consciousness. And to experience that, let all the thoughts subside. Nishala Tattva. You come to Satsanga. That's a beautiful, very well-known sloka by Shankaracharya. Generally, those who know a little bit of the traditional works, they will be knowing this verse. And Bhagavan also translated this verse to Tamil in Ulladanarpad Anubandham. Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nishalatattvam, Nishalatatve Jivan Mukti. When you have contact with sages, the more and more you come in contact with them, the mind naturally becomes nissanga, free of all attachment. Vairagya is the fragrance of a saint or a sage. In Bhagavan's life also, many people when they saw Bhagavan, instantaneously they felt like taking sannyasa. That kind of power was there. Even Bhagavan's friend, school friend, Rangan, when he came to Skandashram, he came there with so much sorrow in life. See, only when you come with intense grief, or at least you are aware of that shoka, just like Buddha, that is the foundation. When you are thoroughly aware of what this world can ultimately give you, then you are ready to plumb within, to find that spot inside where no sorrow can enter, no suffering can enter. It is just like an island, Manidvipa. Chintamani Dvipa, they say. It is like a island made of a jewel and of a diamond. So it is within you. So when Rangan, one of Bhagavan's schoolmate, he came with so much suffering, so much problems in life, confusion, chaos. And he had no sleep. Bhagavan welcomed him with so much love in Skandashrama. And instantaneously Rangan felt at home, because when he came there, he saw Bhagavan's mother, Alagamma. And she was very close with him. So she said, Vava, come. And gave him food. He had a nice lunch there. After that he started pouring forth his suffering to Bhagavan, pain. Bhagavan just heard everything and kept silent. And after 2 or 3 days, the presence of Bhagavan, it is just like fire, no flame. He felt Bhagavan left everything from Madurai and came to Tiruvanamalai. I have also come to Tiruvanamalai, now I have to leave everything. There is no other way. So he didn't directly express that to Bhagavan. Night time, Bhagavan slowly came and sat near him. Then he said, Bhagavan, shall I take sannyasa, leave everything and come to you? Sometimes, people come to us and tell, we will come to you. I will ask, where will I go? If everybody comes here. So, he said, I will come to you. Bhagavan said, see Rangan, when you see Arunachala from distance, and you see a beautiful hill from a distance, it is so beautiful, grand. But when you go near, you will find all the caves, all the wild creatures, everything there. So this is the life. Whether you take any kind of thing, you go near, then you find that all the troubles are there. So simply outwardly it will not do. Inwardly you become ripe, then outwardly it will happen. Whatever has to happen will happen. The inner blossoming is important. And very, very sweet intimacy they had. Bhagavan told Rangan, the greatest blessing that one can get in life is contact with a Jivan Mukta. He didn't say with me, but he just put a statement there, contact with a Jivan Mukta. Your problems will be removed. Sangha, Satsanga. Satsangatve, Nissangatva. First you come in contact with a sage, the mind becomes free. It becomes free of all the attachments, and slowly you start listening. Because you think something is there outside the world. Some problem is waiting. Something you need to solve in the world. And by constant listening, this Vedanta, the word Vedanta. Veda means knowing. Anta means end to knowing. You no more need to know anything other. And you are completely turned inward, and you find that what you are seeking is already there within you as your own self, your own chit, your own I am. And when the mind is lodged in that center, when it abides in itself, nirmohatvam, no more delusion. It's just like you understand that the mirage has no water. From distance you see there is water in the mirage, but when you go near there is no water. Like that, when from a distance you see something is there in the world and you find nothing is there. And what in Bhagavatam it adds, there is no water in the mirage, but water is there right under your foot. Here you dig, you will find water, pure water, celestial water, Tirtha. And that is there in yourself. That is the Nunnuru, the subtlemost being, the real nature of the I. You have to just separate, do the vivechana, that I am not this body. The body never says I. Something else is dancing within as I. It has nothing to do with the body. You have to just use a little bit of discrimination to know this. Generally in Vedanta they say, I am not the body. But Bhagavan says the body never says I. The I is constantly expressed by the inner being. If you amputate the hand will not say I. If you remove the leg will not say I. Now they are taking it, separating heart, liver, kidney, everything medically. Clinically they do it. Surgery is done. There is no I there. But even in a dead body, fully all the limbs are there, but the I is not there. But here now the I is felt. As the Veda says, it's the flame. Ardram jvalati jyotirhamasmi. Jyotir jvalati brahmahamasmi. That Brahman is shining forth, Ardram jvalati. It is shining forth in the heart as I. And that is the subtle form of Arunachala. Nunnuru unayan, vinnuru nannida. When you go and seek what this I is, the I merges in the source, and there is that infinite space, that Chidakasha. Vinnuru. When you go, Bhagavan says Arunachala is the I, but when you go and see the I, you find Chidambaram there. Arunachala becomes Chidambaram. That Chidambaram is Chidakasha. You find the fire of Arunachala. But when you go and see what that fire is, the fire merges in the Chidakasha, the Chidambaram. But you go and see Chidambaram, you will find Arunachala there, because Shiva is dancing as I, as aham. So when Ennalai irum endre Arunachala, when will the thoughts subside? When will the thoughts subside? In this very question, see, many of the verses, Bhagavan only asks question, he never answers. Everywhere you can see Nulladinarbade, everywhere it is asking. It is just questioning. When will the thoughts subside? You can go on asking within you, when will my thoughts subside? When will the mind comes to a rest, to stillness? This is the only question, because outer problems, everything you cannot solve. You have to dissolve the problem within. We have tried solving problems in the world, and our very trial has made this world unlivable. So better solve it within you, in your own heart, to be free of the mind, amani bhava. See, in Ramanacharana, when Bhagavan was there, so many problems were there around. And sometimes people used to feel, why Bhagavan is not interfering? If he had started interfering, he would not have been Bhagavan. He would have made a good ashram, very systematic, disciplined. He will not do that. And that is an example for a person to be free. In Bhagavatam, there is a shloka where it says, how should a householder, a family man live in his house? Bhagavata says, live like a guest. Griheshu athithivat vaset. Don't get attached. Things will be happening. When I was having a satsang in a place, there was an elderly person, very saintly person. He'll be reading every day Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, everything, doing japa, very peaceful. And one day I found that he had a very pranky grandson. All the time creating trouble, breaking something. And he will be peacefully, calmly looking at that boy. One day that boy was crying. He wanted something. And I asked him why he is crying. He wants a stick. And this grandfather started searching for a stick. I asked him, what will he do with that stick? He will break the television. For that he is asking for a stick. Because his father and mother, parents, they are constantly sitting there and looking at it, not taking care of him. Then I asked, he will break the television, you are giving him stick. I wanted to do that. Better he will do it. I am just telling his nature, but he lived such a life that in that family so many problems for the ordinary person, but very spiritual, very saintly. Will be spending his time constantly in japa or reading, never thinking about things happening around. Because you start thinking, you will also get into the range of Maya. Sometimes you call some mobile, and the answer will come, that person is beyond the range. If you have put off your mobile, you will not get the call. Like that, if the mind is operating, you will get into the range of Maya. So better don't allow the mind to operate in that range. And the first step is turn it towards satsanga, or turn it towards some good reading, some good company, japa, dhyana, everything will help. Where the I will not be activated. Right? See, that is the first step. First step. Don't try to put the mind quiet in the very beginning. Try to turn it towards the spots where the I will not, you will not itch the I. Otherwise, events that will directly affect you will just poke the eye. So first step is that Nisangatva. Nisangatva means you are no more intimate with that individuals, that events which will just poke the eye. Just keep away from such things, because if you involve, certainly the mind will become active. But you can see Bhagavan remaining in the center of problems, chaos, and not at all getting affected by things. That is the greatest lesson, and that is the commentary of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna tells Arjuna, be a yogi in the middle of this war field. Because this is the war field where everywhere there is problem, chaos, death. And in the center, remain as a yogi. So this Bhagavan's life, you can see, problems will be happening. Once Kunja Swami asked Bhagavan, why don't you interfere, Bhagavan? Bhagavan said, if I start interfering, I will not even spare you. Not even a crow can fly inside the ashram. Because everyone has flaws. Everyone has some negativity there. So you can never cure the world, heal the world. Better find in you that center which is wholesome, which is ever perfect, which is ever eternally free. If you can find that you need not solve the problem, there is no problem for you. Unnai ni arindayagil unakku or kedum illai. Kaivalyana Vanitam says, you have to just know you, what you are, then you will find that you are eternally free. There is no problem for you. You are Purna. That is what Bhagavan says as Vinnuru, Chidakasha. You are just like the sky, the space. Nothing can touch the space. But when the mind is quiet, it is still. It is like a space which is free of smoke, which is free of cloud, which is free of darkness. As Sureshwaracharya, this example is given. Many of the examples that I say is not mine. Shankaracharya's very close disciple Sureshwaracharya uses this terminology. Dhuli andhakara dhumabhra nirmukta gaganopama. This is a very samadhi bhasha. Says dhuli means dust, andhakara means darkness, dhuma means smoke, abhra means cloud, gagana means space. A space which is free of smoke, darkness, cloud, what? Dust. There is no doubts there. There is no misapprehension there. There is no tension, stress. And it is pure, incorruptible space. And you realize that space within you, that Chidakasha within you, just you get very imagination can put your mind in samadhi. The moment you feel that it is just like your body is like a pot, inside there is a space. The moment you know that that space has nothing to do with this pot, it is the infinite space, it is Chidakasha. Vinnuru nannida yannalai irum endru Arunachala. Arunachala, when all the thoughts subside. So here itself Bhagavan has just given us the message that when the thoughts subside, you will experience infinity in your heart. When the thoughts subside, yogaschitta vritti nirodha, when the mind becomes quiet, when still, see, it is not something you can do later on, now, here, in the satsanga. Because the very purpose of satsanga is that the moment you are listening, you know that your very being is that infinite sky, that infinite space. which is free of all the dust of ignorance, which is free of all the veil, the cloud of ignorance, which is free of all darkness. And that Chidakasha is you. And the search for that within, whatever you can hold a japa, a mantra. You are doing some japa, the throb of mantra within you, it is also I only. That is why with the very first initiation which Bhagavan gave, he said, find out where from a mantra arises. Because the entire mind has become condensed as that mantra. And mantra, when you chant something, when you chant some mantra, first you are verbally chanting, then you are doing it audible to you, then inwardly the mind will be chanting, and then you feel only a throb inside. Not even the mantra. It's just like a wave, a taranga, a lahari. It's just a taranga. And you hold on to that taranga, that lahari, that wave, and that wave will subside in the ocean of stillness. In the ocean of stillness. And that ocean of stillness is you. That Chidakasha, it is the infinite space that is you. And once you recognize it within you, then you will understand that let the cloud arise. Let darkness or light come. Let dust come. Let anything happen. Nothing can touch that space. You see, in Chidambaram, Sanadashva Kshetra, there are 5 Linga Kshetras in Tamil Nadu. The first is Kanchipuram, where it represents the earth element. It is Jambukeshwara, Ekambreshwara. And in Trichy it is Jambukeshwara, which represents water, Jala Linga. And Arunachala is fire. And Kalahasti, now of course it is in Andhra Pradesh. It is Vayu, air. And the last one is Chidambaram, which represents the space, the Akasha. But Akasha is something which never moves. Right? Earth moves. Water moves. Air, fire moves. Air also moves. But you can see pervasiveness increases. You put a bit of earth, dust somewhere, it will remain there. It will not pervade. You pour some water, it will pervade the sideways, everywhere. And fire, you can see, it goes up. It pervades up. And wind, it pervades everywhere. But space is pervasiveness. Outwardly you feel that infinite space. So that is Chidambaram. And it never moves because it has no space to move. But mysteriously you go and see in Chidambaram, that is the only temple where you find Shiva is dancing. If it is Arunachala, you can very well understand why Shiva is dancing, because it's flame, fire. It will be dancing. And water also you can see it will dance. Earth also you can see it will dance. Wind also will dance. But in Chidambaram you see Akasha is dancing. The space is dancing. It is the dancing space. The message is, you see the dancing Shiva, then you will end up experiencing the movementless stillness within you. As Bhagavan puts it, the Chit Nrittam, Chid Vilasa, When you see that Chid Vilasa inside you, you will find that dance merges in the momentless stillness of Chidambaram. Achalane ayinum achabai tannil achalaya mamma edir adu. Achala uruvil ashakti odungida ongum arunachalam endru ari. As Bhagavan says, you go to Chidambaram, you will experience Arunachala. You come to Arunachala, you will experience Chidambaram. You see the hill, you will find the space. You go and see the space, you will find the hill, the momentless one. So all such mystical languages sages use so that ultimately you will say something that in the talk that alone I did not understand. When you know that you did not understand, the mind will become quiet. When the thoughts subsides, then real clarity will come. When the mind becomes quiet, Ritambara Tatra Prajna, as Patanjali says, your very intellect will be filled with truth. Your very awareness will be brimming with the awareness of self. Ritam Bhara. Ritam means truth, Satyam. Bhara means full, filled with. Prajna means awareness, intelligence. In your very intelligence, there will be the anubhuti of Atma. So that is what Bhagavan here says, Nunnuru Unayan, Vinnuru Nannida, Yennalai Irumendra Arunachala. Yennalai Irum Endru. When will all these thoughts subside, O Arunachala? We are doing every sadhana. When you do japa, it is to, because the mind is full of thoughts. Chitta vritti. And this mantra is like that all other chitta vrittis, all the thoughts subside and the mantra also subside, the mind becomes quiet. It becomes shanta. Bhagavan, to many Westerners, Bhagavan used to tell from Bible, be still and know that I am God. This Bhagavan told many seekers. This is one of the best teaching that is available to you. Be still and know that I am God. But the stillness of the self is sahaja. The very nature of the self is stillness. In the beginning as a sadhana, you be still, nishala. You be still. And then it becomes sahaja. Very recently, I met a Ramakrishna Mat Swami. When I heard that I am coming from Tiruvanamalai, I met him in Rishikesh. He is a very well-known Swami. Swami Atma Priyananda, one of the topmost people in Ramakrishna Mat. He told me, 1970s, I used to come to Tiruvanamalai Ramanacharana very often. And I have read in Ramakrishna's life that all the disciples of Ramakrishna, they were in that state. And people used to seek them because you need someone who is physically there, living in that experience, so that you can light your wick. You go to them, you directly get the flame, fire from there. So I used to go to Muruganar. I heard that he is there, so I went to him. And the picture he gave about Muruganar to me, it was just like as if I am seeing him. He said, that vacant look, that stillness, nobody will be there in his room, just a small vacant bench. He'll be sitting there. And of course, Ganeshan has spoken so much about all of them. And that sitting still, not deliberately meditating, doing any sadhana, nothing, just sahaja. And he will be sitting there available. And I used to go and sit, and he will not talk. He will be still. And one day he spoke to me, not for 1 minute or 2 minutes, but for 1 hour. And I told him, I want to do something, some sadhana or something. Then he said, you should not have any sankalpa. You should not have any sankalpa to do this or to do that, to give up, to take, nothing. Whatever sankalpa arises in your mind, merge it in the heart. Then he just, like fire, he came out and told him, don't have any sankalpa within you. The sankalpa of Ishvara will happen. Whatever Ishvara is making you do, as Muruganar himself has written, Iraivan Arul, Iyakkum Badike Yang Endran, Seluttum Valike Sell Endran, Irunda Badike Ire Endran. Be as you are. As he makes you move, move. He is the doer. You are not the doer. You are not the enjoyer. Just be still. So that stillness, Bhagavan's direct disciples, all of them, Ganeshana used to say about Vishwanatha Swami, he will come and take him for a walk. In those days, no, Arunachala will be vacant. People who are coming now, they cannot even imagine that. All these areas, they were only paddy fields, nothing. In front of ashram, no vehicle, no shops. In 80s when I came, there was only one tea shop in front of the ashram. And that too was a shop of a German lady. Not even a Tamil person. Nothing else there. And whole Arunachala will be very rarely some bus will come and cars will not be there. In those days, Vishwanatha Swami used to take him and move for a walk. And for 1 hour or 2 hours, not even a single word. Yeah. Mauna. That becomes sahaja for them. Go and sit somewhere, look at Arunachala, gaze at Arunachala and come back. And leave him back in the room and go. So this became sahaja to them. So this mauna is the very nature of the self, which Bhagavan remained absorbed in that mauna. And people all over the world came to see Bhagavan, to see that wonder of that mauna, that grandeur of that mauna. As Dakshinamurti's mauna. The Purana says Shiva as Dakshinamurti transmitted this highest knowledge through mauna. And devotees saw the same thing happening with Bhagavan with so much ease. It is not that everyone got Brahmajnana, but everyone felt that silence. Even animals felt that silence. Monkeys used to come and sit still. We call the mind monkey. But the real monkeys used to keep still. One day one monkey came, wanted to take a fruit from there. It just put its hand there and looked at Bhagavan. Bhagavan just stared at him. It became still for few minutes. Then it started moving. Then Bhagavan asked, "Endha samrajyatha pidikka pora?" Which empire are you going to conquer? Why don't you be like that? It is not to the monkey. It is for others around. Another dog used to be like a sannyasi. It will sit in a ochre cloth in front of Bhagavan. One day some other dog came outside. It just made a bark, made sound. Then Bhagavan said, "Veliyila paakade, kanna moodu. Don't look outside, close your eyes." And it obeyed. Why should I obey you? Why shouldn't I not look outside? If you study in school, you will ask these questions. Very dangerous. Bhagavan said, "Keep quiet, be still." The dog obeyed. So why? This is the necessity, the need of a very powerful being outside. So that it is a great help. That is what we call a satsanga. That satsanga means it is not simply giving a talk in an arranged place. It is just being in contact with a sage, a mighty being, whose very presence puts the mind in peace. Sometimes it is shanti, sometimes it is ananda. If it is jnana samskara, you will have shanti. If it is bhakti, you will have ananda, prema ananda, prema garbha smriti. As Ramanuja used to say, prema ananda. Ramakrishna, in the presence of Ramakrishna, it was love. They used to get inebriated in his presence. In Bhagavan's presence, it was shanti, nishchala, stillness. So in jnana, it is the yoga of shanti, nishchala. In bhakti, it is prema, it is love. Of course, jnana is one side and bhakti is another side. Both will come full. Bhagavan will sometimes, melt. So, ennala irumendru Arunachala, when will the thoughts subside? The very presence of Arunachala will still the thoughts. The thoughts will subside, but you go out of Tiruvanamalai, thoughts will come back. In Bhagavan's Samadhi, you sit, thoughts will subside. Go out of the Samadhi hall, thoughts will come back. This is what Bhagavan says in Aksharamanamalai, Pokku Varavu. Comes, goes. Every year come to Tiruvanamalai, thoughts becomes quieter. Go back from Tiruvanamalai, thoughts are more. Corona comes, you feel very sad because for some period you are unable to be free of the mind. So this should not be our case, not depending on anything outside, any person, but in the beginning you have to depend. You have to get this knowledge, get this way to know that Shashvata Vastu, that Nitya Vastu, that eternal thing, which will give you absolute freedom. That Mukti, as we say, Mukti is the very nature of Atma. It is the very nature of the self. Somebody asked about liberation. Bhagavan said, liberation is your very nature. Realization is your very nature. You have to just know. Should I not renounce everything? You see, Bhagavan's answers, no one else has given answers like this. Somebody is asking, should I not renounce? Bhagavan said, the self has already renounced everything. What kind of answer is this? This is the ultimate sannyasa. Because when you know the self, sannyaso nirmalam jnanam. Sannyasa is pure jnana. It is the very nature of the Atma. It is the self. When you know the self, then you know that you are not attached to anything. Nothing can stick to you. You are like the sky, like the space. And that is the renunciation, the ultimate renunciation, where renunciation is so natural. Renunciation is so natural, purity is so natural. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. Nothing is so purifying like jnanam, says Bhagavad Gita. Jnanam purifies you completely because it tells you you are eternally pure, you are ever pure. It is a sin in that plane to call somebody a sinner. No papa can touch there. It is pure Tirtham. So today's this talk is about that pure Akasha, the Chidakasha. And you, recently I wrote a verse, suddenly an idea, a bhava came that Sharira Kumbha Chidambaram. Deha Kumbha Chidambaram. The Sharira is like a pot and inwardly is the Chidambara. Sharira Kumbha Chidambara. The Sharira is the Kumbha, it's the Ghada, it's a pot. And inwardly is the Chidakasha. And when we go from the Satsanga, you have to feel it. This body is like a pot. And what you have within, the moment you look inside, it is the Chidambara, it is the Akasha. And that Akasha is Achala. Tade jati, tannai jati. One side you see the movement, on the other side there is no movement. It is pure stillness, Achala. On one side there is movement, there is no movement on the other side. Both are there. Tade jati means it moves. Tannai jati, it never moves. The Upanishad says, it moves not. See, you cannot always remain in meditation. Your prarabdha will push you out. So when you come out, when the body is working, when the mind is working, when the intellect is working, you find that on one side there is dynamism, on the other side there is stillness, that mauna. Both are there. Then you become full, then you become whole. The Shakti is there, Shiva is also there. Movement is there is no movement. On one side there is dynamic, on the other side there is still. On one side there is Akasha. In that Akasha, creation is happening. Sustenance is there. Destruction is there. All the Leela is happening. And nothing corrupts that screen in which this film is going on. So there, the Jnanam becomes Purna. And there Bhagavan says, dance of Arunachala and stillness of Chidambaram, both are there. Nunnuru Unayan, Vinnuru Nannida, Ennalai Irumenda Arunachala. This shloka, this verse, you can just carry in your heart because it's one of the most important verses in Aksharamanamalai. It is the longing of a spiritual heart. The longing is for quietude. If you had a little glimpse of that state, you can no more find rest in this chaos. Once you have a dip into that stillness, you go back and you will not fit into any system where you will activate the mind. There will be that thirst for that cool water of stillness. Tremendous thirst. It's just like you are walking in the summer heat of Arunachala where all shops are closed. You cannot get a juice, you cannot get water anywhere. Like that is this samsara, where you want that stillness. Then suddenly you end up in Tiruvannamala, you find Bhagavan there, and that maunam is there, that cool water of peace is there, that Shanti Tirtham is there. You feel relieved. And you ask Bhagavan, what should I do for that? Bhagavan says, keep quiet. Because in world, to attain anything, you have to toil. Here is the Guru who tells you, be free of all action. Naishkarmya siddhim paramam sanyasena adhikacchati. As Bhagavad Gita says, every sadhana takes to that state of Naishkarmya siddhi. The state of no karma, no action, no tension to achieve anything, no tension to reach anywhere. No one is there to question you. Even the Vedas will not question you. The scriptures, they tell, Namaskar, Pranam. Nothing to tell. This ochre robe, all these things are just a declaration that I will not listen to anybody. It's a declaration of freedom, even from the scriptures. Nothing else. So that is Jivan Mukti. A Jivan Mukta means he will not listen to anybody. Even the Veda says, some mother, sometimes they will say, my son will not listen to me. So the Vedas also say that he goes free outside, because as long as you are carrying this mind, you are bound. When you are free of this mind, this individuality, ego, you are absolutely free. That is Vinnuru. Your very nature, your very form is Akasha. 96, during Bhagavan's centenary, first time I gave a talk in Ramanacharana, I wanted to chant some verse about a Jivan Mukta. And suddenly this verse from Mandukya Karika came, where Gaudapadacharya, the guru of Shankaracharya, is Govinda Bhagavad, he is his guru. And that verse he says, who is a Jivan Mukta? A guru, a jnani. He says, his very body is Akasha, space, and his knowledge is space, and whomever he beholds, they also are pure space. Jnanena Akasha Kalpena Dharmanyo Gaganopamana Nyayabhinnena Sambuddha Tam Bande Dvipadambar. Yet he walks in this earth in two legs. That great being who walks this earth in two sacred, holy, purifying legs, yet his body is infinite space, his mind is infinite space. Whatever he experiences in the world becomes infinite space, and he is one with that infinity. To him I do namaskar. So this is Bhagavan. And today our verse is that infinity, that Akasha. You need not remember everything. You just remember that I am Akasha. I am the Chidambara. If you cannot inquire, you can meditate also. You can just say Akashavan Nirmala Nirvikalpam Avadhuta. Dattatraya's chanting is like that. I am the Akasha. I am the Akasha. I am the infinite. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamoham. I am that nectar of jnana. I am like the infinite space, that blue Akasha, blueness of the space. You just carry in your being. No boundary of the body, no boundary of the mind. You become boundless, whole, Purna. And that is Chidambara, Chidakasha. We will see the next verse tomorrow. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Yato mamatma bhavasi tvameva, tato na vachyam mama kinchidasti, yathata vishtam kurvam tathaiva tvam atmanatham.